In this video, we cover the 3 buy and renovate methods used by property investors. Hello, I'm Dr. T, and welcome to How to Invest in UK Property. BRRRR, buy, renovate, resell, and repeat is the original property trading business method to generate profit from buying and reselling properties. But in the past 40 years, the more popular method has been BRRRR with 4 R's: buy, renovate, rent out, refinance, and repeat. It's the classic method of building large property portfolios via buy-to-let mortgages. In the past, this method has worked really well for many people all over the world. You can still use it now with low-cost houses, as the higher yields can cover the mortgage costs, but it's much harder. You need to be an active investor and be aware of the 5 key issues that can result in failure. We'll cover all of these in this video. We'll also cover my own BSR method to build property portfolios designed for 100% passive investors who don't want to take mortgages or remain in debt or simply are not eligible. For example, if they're abroad, they can get net rental income and long-term capital growth and still build a portfolio. More on this later. Before we start, please remember to like this video, subscribe, and comment below. And here's a bit from our channel sponsor, findukproperty.com, which is a family business I founded over 16 years ago.
Hi, Find UK Property provides property solutions for passive investors, delivering net rent and long-term growth with no costs or liabilities for the owner.
So let's talk about these methods and how they work. Buy, renovate, resell, and repeat is your classic property development or renovation business. You buy a rundown, cheap property at an auction or directly from a seller, for example, a 2-bed house for £60,000. You renovate it to a good standard and do it cheaply for, let's say, £12,000 and raise the value by 33% to £80,000. Then you resell to people looking for a home or a passive investment. You make a profit for £8,000 after all costs. You use the money from the sale to repeat this process and live off the profits of this property trading business. There are many hands-on contractors and renovators that do this business. With the BRRRR method, with the extra R, instead of reselling it, you rent it out and keep it. Then you refinance at the higher price of £80,000 to release as much of the value as possible. In the past, you could get 90% of the value out, or £72,000 on a 90% buy-to-let mortgage. This allows you to take all of your money out and repeat the process, and this way you keep the property as well. You gradually build a portfolio of many properties. You can even have net income if your net rent after all costs is higher than the mortgage interest you have to pay. You remain in debt, but as long as the net rent pays the mortgage, the future expected capital growth will allow you to profit in the long term. So that is the theory, and it's absolutely great. And there are many people who've achieved this great success doing this in practice. And you'll see many videos on YouTube from people who promote this, and many have done this themselves. However, in the current climate, it is much harder. And I should know, as my company has bought, renovated, and rented out over 2,500 houses in the past 16 years. From my practical experience, here are 5 reasons why such methods often fail. Firstly, the investor is not active enough. This method is best for active investors who are local and have experience of renovation, lettings, and property management, so that they can do this directly and control the costs at each step. Many passive investors try to do this by relying on deal sourcers and subcontractors and actually end up making a huge loss. The second reason is that total buying cost is too high. Some investors don't take all of the cost of buying fully into account. Although a property at an auction may have a guide price of £60,000, the actual sale price may be much higher, and there may be auction fees, for example, £6,000, and the buyer may have to pay stamp duty, their own solicitor costs, and sometimes the seller's legal fees too. So the actual cost may be over £10,000 to £15,000 higher than they expect. The third reason is that many investors underestimate the time taken for renovation. and the costs of renovation, especially when using subcontractors. Post-COVID, labor costs have doubled, and it's hard to find good contractors. Many of the houses we buy are from passive investors living in London who have bought a property in the north. They've tried to do the renovation and finally realized that the total cost using contractors will be more than the final market price, and then they give up and exit with a loss. Let me give you an example. A two-bed house near London or the south may cost £300,000, and spending £30,000 on a full renovation, including new kitchen, bathroom, heating system, and full decoration and flooring, is only 10% of the price. And it's good if it raises the value by even 25% to £375,000, making £45,000 profit. The same size two-bed house in the north may cost £60,000, but the renovation costs are not 10%, as some may think. They are the same as the south, as the labour and material costs are similar. So not possible to renovate the same things for £6,000. The actual cost is near £30,000, meaning the renovation cost can be 50% of the property price. If the price still increases by 25% to £75,000, then the investor makes a loss of £15,000. Fourthly, the final value is too low. With low-cost houses, it's much harder to raise the value much beyond the buy price plus renovation costs. If you buy for £60,000, and even if you are very efficient at renovation and spend only £12,000, you may only increase the value to £75,000 and not £80,000. Even with a successful renovation, the value may only go up by less than 25% and not 33% or 50%, as some may expect. Finally, there are these mortgage problems. These days, getting mortgages is harder as the criteria are tougher, both for the borrower and for the property. So there is more uncertainty. The percentage of the value that is loaned may be lower at nearer 70% or 75 or 80% rather than 90%. The interest rate is much higher. When the Bank of England base rate was only 0.5%, mortgages were much cheaper. Now the base rate is around 5%, 10 times higher. If the interest on the loan is higher than the net rent you get, then you have negative cash flow and the mortgage is not sustainable. This is more likely on more expensive properties, for example, in the south, because these houses have low net rental yields, and mortgages will not be approved because interest is much higher than the net rent. But if you're an active investor buying locally and are aware of and avoid these 5 issues, it's still possible to use BRRRR method, and many investors still do this. So what's the best way to invest if you are a 100% passive investor and do not want to take mortgage risk or are not eligible because you're abroad? Well, you need to have adequate funds or ability to save more. You can use my simple BSR, buy, save, repeat method. Firstly, you buy a very low-cost property that is already renovated, already rented out, with ongoing maintenance, and gives you net rent from day one and no extra costs or hassle. Then you continue saving from what you normally do and you're good at, your work or your business, and of course, the net rent. These days with mortgages, the high interest means that all of your net rent is used to pay the interest. With this system, there is no interest and all the rent can be saved as well. Then in a few years, once you have enough savings, you can repeat the process and gradually build a portfolio of low-cost houses. Because the properties are low cost, you can do this in small steps. Another tool to help you with the BSR method is the 2-step process that makes the steps even smaller. Here, you buy a 1-bedroom interim property for £40,000 in step 1, then save £20,000 over 3 years and also build over £10,000 from the 1-bed house. Then you can upgrade to the 2-bed house in step 2. This way, you build a portfolio of multiple houses gradually, but you own them fully in a secure way with no debt and pay no interest. So which method is best to build a portfolio of properties? My personal view, if you're an active investor doing things directly and can use mortgages, then the BRRRR method can still work for you, providing you avoid the 5 pitfalls. If you're a passive investor or not living locally, then use the BSR method with or without the 2-step process and build a portfolio more gradually without taking any risks or building debt. At the end, please watch the message from our channel sponsor, Find UK Property, which is our family business. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. T, and this is How to Invest in UK Property.
Hi, at Find UK Property, we buy freehold houses, renovate them to a decent standard and rent them out to good tenants. We then sell them to passive investors whilst managing and maintaining them fully. Please watch these videos to learn more. Visit our website at findukproperty.com.